Hello and welcome to the Freedom Experiment with your host, David Smith, Smitty. This week I have one of my teachers from India, a beautiful man, Dr. Sharma. He is a Ayurvedic, what do I say?
Ayurvedic physician. Yeah.
Ayurvedic physician, that's right. Yeah, Ayurvedic physician. I always get caught in these moments. An Ayurvedic physician, and he has created the Ayuskama Ayurveda Institute. It's a clinic in Dharamsala, northern India. And yeah, I spent a bit of time there. I did some courses and I did a Panchakarma. And yeah, he's a very beautiful man. He's got a lot of knowledge. So yeah, I'm really excited to have him on today to ask him about freedom and Ayurveda and a bit of philosophy. But I'll start with freedom because that's how I start these podcasts. So I'd love to know what your perspective of freedom is.
Mind perspective of freedom. Okay. I think, David, it's a very big topic. It's a big word, freedom, and it can be in different contexts. For example, we all want freedom, isn't it?
Yes.
And basically, you can define freedom as when you are not being controlled by anything. That is freedom. Now, that thing could be sometimes your own self, your own ego. Sometimes there are external factors. Sometimes even non-living things can control you. Your desires can control you. People can control you. So basically, we want to get rid of all these things that are controlling us. And in a simple context, normally we think if somehow we can get rid of all these controls, we will become free. But I think the search for freedom does not end here. Actually, it starts from here. Because when we talk about freedom, ideally, we should talk about an absolute freedom. Not only about freedom from the small thing or one thing or the other thing, because these kind of, you could say, the aspirations for freedom, they will continue and they will never end. This fight with the, control, etc., this will continue until the life is existing. So I am inspired from Vedic culture, and as I'm an Ayurvedic physician, so I can try to share some aspects of freedom from this Vedic culture, what it thinks about freedom. It is, you all know, it's an oldest living civilization. So it's very important to take some knowledge from it, take some wisdom from it, take some experience from it. So freedom, basically, according to this Vedic culture, is an absolute freedom. We all need an absolute freedom. And otherwise, if we try to keep fighting with the small things, we will never get the absolute freedom. So you must have heard about one mantra, very common mantra. Asatoma sadgamyam, tamasoma jyotirgamyam, mrityorma amritam gamyam, om shanti, shanti, shanti.
Yes, I've heard it. I have, yes.
So basically, this mantra is defining our need for freedom, our desire for freedom. So it is asking us that we should be free from three main things. Like first is asato ma sadgamyam, means we should get free from ignorance, from asat, and we should move towards truth. So we all want freedom from ignorance. Second is tamaso ma jyotirgamyam. Tamas means darkness, tamas means dullness, tamas means inertia, Tamas means confusion. So first of all, of course, we should remove our ignorance, but at the same time, it is also important to remove our tamas, because in the presence of tamas, even if you have knowledge, you're not able to understand it. Tamas will keep you confused. So it's very important to remove your mental inertia or tamas, and we should go towards light or knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
The third is mrityorma amritam gamya. Mrityu basically means death, and amrit means immortality. So we want freedom from this fear of death.
Okay,
Of
the
course,
main fear.
the main fear, and fear of death, fear of losing something. You know? So basically, when we talk about freedom, we just want freedom from these three things. That is fear and confusion and ignorance.
Okay.
Somehow, if these three things we are able to get free from, you will get free from everything else. You know?
Wow. Oh man, I feel like this is exactly why I did this podcast. Is that I've never heard a better explanation of what we're on this planet for. Can we go into depth on all those three topics? How do we get free from ignorance to start with?
Yeah. See, when we say that we want to get freedom from, I think it's very important that we should be very clear. Clarity is very important. Clarity will bring freedom. You know? Clarity will bring us knowledge. Clarity will remove our ignorance. Clarity will also reduce our fear.
Mm.
Like many people, you must have seen that nowadays many people they feel very anxious. It's very common for them to be anxious, and
Yes.
many people are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
World is very stressful right now. The COVID-19 situation happened. Many people lost their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and some people are suffering from health issues.
Mm-hmm.
The whole world is kind of suffering right now,
Yes.
and we feel very uneasy with us. Mm. Now, why do we feel uneasy with us? Because we don't have enough clarity.
Mm.
You know, it's very important to understand we are dealing with this piece of life, and this piece of life is a very sophisticated, I will say, it's a very sophisticated machine, you can call it, or it's a very sophisticated
System.
system,
Yeah.
which if you are not aware of, you will remain uneasy. Means I can give a simple example. For example, it means we live in a hilly area. So
Mm-hmm.
here, if you're driving a car and I put you inside the car and you're sitting on the driver's seat, and you have no idea how the brake works or how the steering wheel works, how will you feel inside the car on this hilly terrain?
You're a bit scared, yeah.
Scared? You will
Yeah.
be uneasy, isn't it?
Uneasy,
Yeah.
anxious, yeah, a bit worried about the corners, a bit worried about it working. Yes.
So similarly, this this piece of life that we are trying to handle, this body mind that we are trying to handle, and you are sitting inside this as a driver, and if you are not aware of the system, it will really make you uneasy.
Mm.
That's very important to understand.
Yes.
And like even if you buy an iPhone, you always read a user's manual before operating it.
I
Isn't it?
don't, but
But you get some kind of training. You try,
it's true.
so
Yeah.
yeah, initially you try with some guesswork, etc., and then you slowly learn, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And more you become better in it, more comfortable you become with that machine.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, when we try to operate the system, we don't study any user's manual. There's no user's manual coming with it,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's the
Yes.
problem. So, but I say that to even my students and even to myself in the training that I've got in my life, that Ayurveda basically is the user's manual for this life.
Wow.
So it's very important to study that. It's very important to understand it. And once you know the user's manual, once you are aware of this system, then this awareness actually brings freedom.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yes. I feel that. I feel that. So let's go into depth of how the user manual of Ayurveda can support us.
In many different ways. Means when we try to understand this system, like it's important to understand that we are a combination of body, mind, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to learn about our body. Of course, physical awareness is important. We need to learn about its needs. We need to learn how to keep it healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, we have many systems. Like there is nutrition, there is exercise routine, daily routine. I think the whole world is focused on that. Everybody wants to do exercise, yoga.
Yeah.
So these things are happening. This is all right.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings physical awareness and physical strength, physical nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, some mental nourishment is needed. You need some mental awareness too. And unfortunately, I've seen that we are too focused on the body nowadays.
Mm. Yeah.
And to some extent, okay, people are becoming aware that it's good that now, even in the Western world, when they're talking about yoga, they're not only talking about the physical aspects of yoga. So there are some mental aspects, and there are many tools in yoga, like simply pranayama, meditation, dhyan. Means all these tools basically you use for mental awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But at a very simpler level, like even if you don't know about these complex things, it's very important to understand how we nourish our mind. So as the food of this body is basically your physical food, similarly, the food of the mind is your thoughts. The thoughts that are entering into your head, that is the food of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of thoughts you will put in your head, your mind will become like that. For example, if I keep telling you that you are very good, you're very good, you're very good, or you're an idiot, or you're an idiot,
Yeah.
means if I just keep you in that environment, means your thoughts will become like that, your mind will become like that.
Yes.
So it's very important to choose a good quality food for your mind, a good quality thought for your mind. We should not put any garbage into our head. Nowadays, we are not aware of it. So a TV show or a news channel is showing you anything, and you are just putting in your head without even.
Yes.
So we should remain in a sattvic environment through all the senses, whatever we are consuming. It should be very sattvic in nature. It should be that is increasing our awareness. It should be a kind of food, a kind of thought, basically, that is progressing us towards freedom, through awareness.
Yes. Can you explain Sattvic a little bit deeper? I've got an understanding myself, but I'd love to hear your interpretation of Tamas, Rajas, and Sattvic and Sattva.
Yeah, basically, when we look at um, this universe basically have three different properties, and these are properties of matter also, or the physical world also, we could say.
Mm-hmm.
Like any matter, when you look at it, it can exist in its purest form, then it exists in its active form,
Mm-hmm.
and it can also exist in an inert form.
Mm-hmm.
The purest form of matter basically is your sattva. Sattva basically means purity, as it should be. That is sattva. Anything that is existing in its own purest form is basically sattva
Mm.
or sattvic form.
Yeah, okay.
Rajas simply means activity. So whenever anything is becoming active, that is rajas. All the actions that we are doing, I'm moving right now, I'm speaking right now, means all this basically is rajas. When this is healthy rajas, now I start shouting, I become angry, my mind starts working too fast, then we can say this is aggravation of rajas.
Okay, that's good.
So rajas means activity.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you will see mind can also get exhausted, where we don't use our intellect at all. We are so tired. Our intellect is not working, intelligence is not working, it has become inert. That stage basically is tamas.
Mm-hmm.
So when a matter is exhausted, you could say it has become tired, it has become really degenerated. That stage is the tamas state. So, for
Mm.
example, if you take this pen, when it was really new, that was sattvic. If I
Okay.
start writing with it, that is rajas.
Mm-hmm.
And when it will become inert or useless, then basically that is tamas. Yeah. When it's active, that's rajas. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, so I'm really feeling that understanding this, we can understand where our own mind is at, and if we can understand if our own mind is a bit more inert or a bit more active, then there are ways to draw it back up into its own purity, into its own source of being. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Means basically, when we talk about mental health, then it's important to understand that if mind remain in its normal, natural state, its sattvic state, that is basically mental health.
Mm.
Whenever mind is getting deviated from its natural state, for example, it's going into rajas or tamas, then it can become imbalanced. Rajas and tamas, in Ayurvedic medicine, we call them mental dosha. Basically means something that can disturb. So rajas and tamas, they can disturb the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, rajas and tamas are also.
We've lost him. Lost the greatest man on earth. Lost him to some Indian technical difficulties. Uh-oh. On the most important topic ever. Dum, 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 dum. He's frozen. I got you back. It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's a recording, so we can just cut it out. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if we want, we can also start again. I don't have any issues with that.
Oh no! What we've said already is so good. We can just do a recap of just those last few sentences of what you said. I can't remember how we got there, but
I think we were in sattva tamas.
Mental health we were talking about, and I think that's so important. So, how does understanding tamas, rajas, and sattva help with mental health?
Yeah, means this sattva, rajas, and tamas. It's very important to understand. Like everything that is existing in this nature have these three different states. First state is sattva state. Second is rajas state, and third is tamas state. Sattva basically means the purest state. When anything is existing in its most purest state, as it should be, that is the sattvic state. Rajas is the active state. And tamas is the inert, dull, exhausted kind of state.
Yes.
We can also apply it to our mental context. So when mind is existing in its most purest form, as it should be, and that purest form basically is just pure observer. When mind is just observing, that is the purest state of the mind, and it does not get affected by any modifications.
Mm.
Whenever it starts making assumptions, when it starts becoming overactive, like the rajasic state,
judgmental or
judgmental,
criticizing or story,
yeah, making dramas and stories in its head.
Mm-hmm.
So then it starts getting modified, and that can give rise to many health disorders, many especially psychological disorders. Anxiety is a simple disorder that you generally get from it just by assuming. For example, you are right now alone, and your wife got late,
Mm-hmm.
and you start assuming in your head why she's not coming home in time. Many people are suffering from that.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And she must be just doing some shopping for you. She got late, her phone was off, but whatever could be a reason.
Yes.
And you can make a whole story in your head.
Mm.
So that's basically rajas, when you overuse your mind.
Okay.
And third basically is the tamasic state of mind. So tamas means inertia, dullness, when you are not using your intellect at all, when you're not thinking at all,
Mm-hmm.
when you don't receive any information. So that is the tamasic state, a dull state. That is also ignorance. No, ignorance is also bliss. Many people will say that.
Yeah,
so
it's true. There's some truth to that. There's some truth to that.
Yeah. So tamasic state doesn't mean that you will be unhappy in the tamasic state, but you will be ignorantly happy.
Be more caught in the illusion.
And that is, yeah, that will be impermanent. So
Okay.
then your life will be like a roller coaster, like few days good, few days really bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when we talk about freedom, we want freedom from these variations of life, isn't it?
Yes.
This good and bad of life,
Yes.
the cycle of life and death. For example, in Vedic culture, we talk about this a lot. The cycle of life and death, we want freedom from that. Now, when we talk about life and death, it's important to understand that life and death is happening at every moment. Every time life and death is happening. Right now, life and death is happening for us.
At a cellular
So
level, we
what?
talk about in the body.
Yeah, in our body also, at a cellular level, it is happening. At a spiritual level, also, it is happening.
Mm-hmm. How's it happening at a
We are,
spiritual level?
but that's what, if you study about Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy, then basically it's just talking about that impermanence.
Yes.
So every
Yes.
moment is impermanent.
Yes.
Everything is impermanent. We are constantly changing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts are changing. Your mind is changing. Your body is changing.
Yes.
Existence is changing.
Yes.
So basically, when we talk about life, life is a journey from your birth to death here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But sometimes in between, the journey is actually also getting stopped, or journey is facing obstacles.
For
And
sure.
whenever you are facing obstacles in your journey, that is a death experience, a small death experience. At some
Mm.
point, there will be like a bigger obstacle or a long obstacle, then there will be kind of a bigger death. Yes.
Mm.
So ultimately, we want freedom from all this.
We do. Yeah. Does that? So, what part is it? A part of our personality or our ego that's dying? Would you suggest?
Yeah, our ego is dying, our attachments are dying, our you could say our preferences are changing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
isn't it?
Yes. Hold on. Yeah, got you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this moment, you are your preference is something else. In a different moment, your preference will become something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. Yes. You know me too well.
We all are like that.
Mm, that's very
We
good.
all are like that.
So, would I be assuming that sort of tamas would be more of a depressed state? So, would that be where you would put more depression in, or how would you advise through the
Yeah.
Ayurvedic lens on how to bring bring yourself out of that state?
See, Rajas basically is your anxious state when your
Hmm.
mind is working too much.
Yes.
And when your mind is not working at all, that is more tamas state. So when basically intellect is not working at all, when you don't see any hope, when you cannot even think about future, so that is more depressed state. Some
Mm.
people take it as depressed state. Some people can also take it like ignorance as bliss.
Mm.
You can also close your eyes and you think that, okay, everything is all right. You must have seen like a frog or a rabbit when a snake is trying to kill them. So they are just frozen completely.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
they close their eyes. So they think that everything that is happening here is all right.
Mm. Mm.
So it can, in different people, different kind of projections will happen due to the
Mm.
state of
Mm.
tamas. But it all depends on what kind of experience you are giving to yourself, through your senses. If you're giving yourself some sattvic experience, so
Yes.
through your mind, you're giving sattvic experience. You are, you could say, using your mind properly as it should be used,
Mm-hmm.
neither too much nor less.
How do you use, like, how do you bring sattvic experiences into your mind?
Means you have to understand the dimensions of mind for that.
Mm-hmm.
Our mind basically have four different dimensions. There are more dimensions, more than like 64 dimensions are explained, but four are the main dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And we call them buddhi, ahankar, chitta, also we call it, and manas we call it.
Mm-hmm.
So first basically is buddhi or intellect. Now, intellect you should use as much as required. If you use it too much, then intellect is a very sharp knife. It can start harming you. It will cut you down.
Mm. You
So, for
start
example, intellect is,
analyzing too much.
yeah,
Yeah.
means like it should be used. Intellect is a very important tool. It's basically a tool of survival,
Mm.
and you analyze, you learn through it. And certain aspects you can understand by classifying, by analyzing. For example, you want to classify a flower, you can classify with the help of your intellect. Now, you want to understand your love relationship with intellect. Imagine what will you do?
Tear it apart, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will overclass. You will. But that's the nature of the intellect. Intellect is like
Mm.
a scissor. Intellect
Mm.
is like a knife. It will cut things down and it will tear everything apart, and that's how it understands.
Mm.
So, if you want to understand your wife, your mother, your partner with the help of intellect, that's a disaster.
Mm. I'm just
There you should
thinking of
use
a lot of
practical.
relationships where I think I've done that.
Yeah. Many people will do it. Means we all do it. Means, but through that we learn.
Yes.
And after intellect or the buddhi, the next dimension is your ahankar. Ahankar is the second dimension of mind. Ahankar simply means identity,
Yes.
and identity is very dear to us. We all want to identify with something.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is identified to their job. Somebody is identified to their um, uh, kind of personality, the body,
The body. Yeah.
mind,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
different types of identities we have. And these identities basically are very dangerous too. These are the, you could say, cause of our suffering. Because when we identify too much to something, then you will always notice that our intellect also works in that boundary of identity. Your intellect never crosses the boundary of your identity or your ahankara. This is very important to understand.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
For
Yep.
example, today you think that you are an Indian person, imagine, and you are really identified to your Indianness. Your intellect can give you all the reasons why Indian flag or India is the best.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or you're identified being a German or being a New Zealander, whatever. Your intellect can justify that. So your intellect basically works in this boundary of your identity. It's very important to
Wow.
make this boundary proper.
Mm. Yes.
Because if this boundary or this identity, if it's a mistaken identity, imagine how much trouble you're putting yourself into. Because then your intellect will actually justify all that and it will keep you in a confused state and you will never become free.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, I'm really feeling right. It's really, I'm really seeing that, and I'm seeing the defense mechanisms of the intellect when it's defending that identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, please keep going. This is so good.
Mm. So that's why in this culture, in this Vedic Hindu culture, I will say uh, this identity was given a lot of importance, and we tried to fix a proper identity from the beginning. So there is a very simple mantra in Upanishads, and this is taught to children from a very young age. You know. So yesterday, like my son, he was just like 3.5 years old, so he was reciting that mantra. And so my father taught him, and that mantra basically is like Vasudev Kutumbakam. Vasudev Kutumbakam means whole world is my family.
Beautiful.
So, like the teacher asked my son, like, who is your family or something. So he was telling her Vasudev Kutumbakam.
Oh, wow. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So when you properly fix your identity from the beginning, then generally it is very easy for you to survive everywhere. Then you must have seen, like, I think this I have seen, basically somebody was also telling me, like, especially about Indians, that wherever they go, they mix up very good with the culture. They don't generally make much trouble there.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I've heard, like some people told me. And I think the reason is because the identity, the self-identity is not very strong.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So like whole world is my family. So when that identity is fixed a little bit properly, when it's not a mistaken identity, when it's not a narrow identity, your vision becomes broader. If your identity is narrow, your intellect also becomes narrow. It becomes like that horse who can see only this much.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you want to make your vision broader, if you want to make your intellect broader, it's important to work actually on your ahankara, on your identity, and it's important to fix it to a broader sense.
How do
you
we
can
do that?
It's a long-term work. I think, again, knowledge and awareness plays a very important role. There is no magic for it. It's actually a training that you have to give yourself, that you have to give to your children. And you start seeing that oneness everywhere, more and more. See, so this we are talking at the level of this society. So even if we have this awareness that whole society is mine.
Yep, collective. Yep.
A collective. So then at least the social survival will become better. There'll be more freedom in the society. Isn't it?
Yes.
So then you are easily accepting others' point of view within a family also. Then you accept, okay, somebody else's point of view is also all right. But if your identity is mistaken, it's narrow identity, then you are not able to accept anybody's views, and so there will be social disharmony. But on a bigger level, when we are talking about absolute freedom, so then at some point we have to understand that this identity has no meaning at all.
Yeah.
So then we are kind of moving towards an absolute freedom, and absolute freedom will happen only when you see everything in this universe same as you. When there is no other, when there is no you, when there is only I, when there is only existence. So everything is existence, everything is me, everything is Brahma, we call it, or a consciousness, we call it in Vedic culture.
Yes. Is there a healthy sense of I that can support that awareness? That's what my journey has been in the last sort of few months. I've been coming back into having an identity online for things like this, and I've been moving in and out of different resistance against that, I suppose. So would there be any way to, or is it true that we need a sort of sense of an identity to sort of show the world, or not?
Yeah, see, when we talk about identity, it's also important to understand that life is not possible without identity.
That's good. Yeah.
Life is existing only with identity. Ahankara is a very important aspect when we study Sankhya philosophy. Means for your viewers, you can maybe give them a link about Sankhya philosophy or something. But Sankhya philosophy is talking about this, that existence is happening only due to identity. If there is no identity, there will be nothing, then you cannot join anything. So then there'll be no two objects. It will be just one big existence.
This is
So
Prakriti,
when
right?
you,
Is that like in
yeah,
matter?
that's
Yeah.
called as Prakriti, the
And then
nature, you know.
Purusha is the energy moving through Prakriti to create
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So life will come up only when there is identity.
Okay.
So, but it's
Good.
important to understand that that identity that I have, that minimal identity that is required for life, of course, that should be there. There's no problem in it. But you should be aware of that, that that identity should not take over your basic nature.
Ah, so good. Yes. Yep.
It's important to understand that I am that Brahma, I am existence, I am that consciousness. We
Mm-hmm.
all are that, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? And we should be aware of that. When we are completely unaware of that and we start thinking, I am the individual and I don't depend on anything else, like I'm the king, now that's where the problem starts.
Yes.
Otherwise, even like simply also, or simply common sense, you will use like the air that I am breathing right now. You know, somebody who's sitting near me, he's also breathing the same air.
Mm-hmm.
So physically also we're sharing a lot of things with each
Yeah.
other.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to take in. This is so good, Dr. Sharma. Yeah. It's so deep. Um, I
So I think we
suppose
should move forward to the third dimension of mind. You know,
definitely sounds good.
yeah. So after identity, the third dimension of mind that we have, we call it manas. Manas means memory. Now, where is this memory? This memory exists everywhere, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This body is also an accumulation of memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we say in Ayurvedic medicine that body and mind are not separate from each other. When we talk about memory, many people think that memory is only in your brain, but that's not true. Means you have genetic memory actually in your each cell. You have pain memory in your body. You have karmic memory that you're carrying with you. So basically, human being is just a pool of memory.
Mm.
For example, maybe my brain does not remember how my ancestors were looking like, but my body remembers it. My nose, my hair, my skin color. It remembers even how my 10th grandfather was looking like.
Mm.
So we are all carrying that memory. And of course, there are various like patterns also. So some mental, physical patterns also we develop through that. And that memory could be a problem for us. For many of us, memory could be a problem. That memory can also develop in some kind of complexes. For example, some people can have a superiority complex. Some people can have an inferiority complex.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about freedom, I think this is again another point. We should be free from ahankara, but at the same time, we should be free from our memory too.
Would the memory be like a subconscious memory? Is that the way that we?
Everything, when we're talking about memory, it's like there's conscious memory, subconscious memory, physical memory, genetic memory.
Okay. Yep.
You know? And that memory actually is a very heavy baggage.
Mm.
And if somehow those memories are faulty, that can create a lot of problems for us.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's that kind of baggage that we cannot even put aside. So and sometimes there are memories like very painful memories or abusive memories people have. You know, sometimes with pain, I have seen like when you have pain in a certain area, so sometimes there is like some abusive memory associated with it. And you do all the physical treatments, but the pain doesn't it doesn't go away easily. So in that case, it is very important to deal with that memory. Now, how to deal with that memory? Can you forget your memory?
From my experience, doing Vipassana meditation got me to a space that somehow I released myself from trauma and from past memories that were creating suffering. That's my experience. I'm sure there's many ways, or is it possible in from your viewpoint?
Yeah, See, forgetting is not a very easy thing. You cannot forget your memories. They will
True.
be there.
Maybe
But
the
what you can
attachment
do
wasn't there.
is, yeah, but you can become comfortable with them. Those
Mm.
memories can become irrelevant for you. There are many memories which doesn't trouble us because they're irrelevant, isn't it?
That's
And
true.
how they will become irrelevant? Only when you work on your ahankara,
Okay. The identity.
the identity.
Oh, transcending the identity.
Yeah, the identity, if you work on it, if you'll expand it a bit, if you will correct it, if you
Yeah.
will improve the broadness, you will say, you will reduce the narrowness of the identity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
that, you have to use your intellect also in some way. So well, this
Yeah.
is all connected. And
Yeah.
that's the third dimension of the mind. So, like, simply, you can say that whenever we are talking with each other, for example, maybe imagine like yesterday we had a fight with each other.
I can't imagine
And
it, but okay.
but, but, but sometimes, like within a family, imagine we are a
Okay.
family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you start a new conversation with that baggage of memory,
Mm.
it will be problematic.
Yes. So you
So
need to clear the
sometimes it's,
memory.
yeah, you need to clear the memory, you need to make it irrelevant. You need to be comfortable with your memories. I mean, of course, many people will say that it's very difficult to be comfortable with painful memories, but there are ways for it.
Hmm.
I mean, there are ways for it. Of course, the time has a limitation, so we can't talk about all the ways. But
Yes.
um, basically, in Ayurvedic medicine or even in this culture, when we talk about being comfortable with our memories, we are talking about being comfortable with our karmas, with our
Okay.
actions.
Yes.
You know? So through karma, you can change that. If
Mm.
something uncomfortable have happened or some painful memory is there, you can work more. So it's not a pessimistic concept of law of karma, or it's not a pessimistic. It's very optimistic concept.
Mm.
And so whatever has happened, whatever you are right now, is your own making.
Yes.
And what you will be in next 1 year is also your own making. So whatever you will do right now in next 1 year, 2 years, you can manufacture yourself. You can manufacture new memories, and you can replace that old memory. So it's an active participation.
Mm. Wow, it's inspiring. Truly inspiring. Whew, that's good. And what about the fourth dimension? Of the 64 dimensions of mind, I think we need to do 10 podcasts to get to the 64 dimensions. But
Yeah, yeah. So fourth dimension of the mind is called as chitta. And you must have heard this word chitta um, in Yoga Sutras, in the definition of yoga. Hmm? I think chapter
yes,
1, verse
yes, yes,
2nd.
yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yoga chitta vritti
Teen
nirodha.
Rodha. Yep.
When we are reducing the modifications of the mind, that is called as yoga. To reduce the or to remove the modifications of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
that is called as yoga. So here, the aspect of mind, or the word that is used for mind, is basically chitta. So you can use all these different words for mind. So you can use manas somewhere. Wherever you're using manas, that means you're talking about the memory aspect of the mind. Wherever you are talking about buddhi, it means you are referring to the intellectual aspect of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when you study Sanskrit language, you have to be aware of that. So the
Mm-hmm.
same, so word chitta is used here. Chitta basically means the pure observer mind, as the mind should be.
Mm.
The mind should neither be in ahankara, it should neither be in manas, it should neither be in your intellect too much. It should be as it is, just chitta.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So chitta is the pure observer mind, and whenever you are using all the other three properly, you are not overusing them, you are not underusing them, then chitta generally appear.
Mm.
In a relaxed state, when your mind is just you, that basically is the chitta state of the mind.
Mm. And there's no
So
suffering in that state, is there?
then suffering is irrelevant.
That's
Of
right. Yeah.
course, life will continue.
Yes, yes, yes.
Life will continue. When things will happen, things will change. There will be summer, there will be winter, all these things will happen. But when you experience that chitta, you don't see life from that narrow viewpoint of buddhi, manas, and ahankara.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see life from a very broad point. You see life from the viewpoint of life.
Mm.
You know, you don't.
Oh, I'm just getting so much coming through with this. This is so beautiful. Thank you.
So you
You
don't see
see,
life from the yeah. Just let me finish. Means you don't
yeah,
see life from the viewpoint of your narrow desires. You know, whenever we do that, from then we suffer, and we will suffer. Means there is no doubt in it.
yes. Wow. Oh, I don't even know where to go from here. We're just on such a deep level. It's amazing, Dr. Sharma. Thank you. Oh, we're we've covered nearly all my questions, I think, already. How does Ayurveda benefit our lives compared to Western medicine, or how do they interlink together?
See, when we're talking about freedom,
Mm-hmm.
so we should, whenever we talk about any medicine, I think it's very important to be free from that identity that I'm an Ayurvedic physician.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this
You
is
know,
good. Yes, yes,
very
yes. Yeah.
important. You know, when
So I just
so
did that to you already. I put you in a label, and I've put you in. You're an Ayurvedic practitioner, and then I've tried to bring in Western medicine against that, essentially. So I've kind of gone straight into that Amkara state of mind.
yeah. See, ahankara does not allow you to see truth.
Mm.
You know, ahankara shows you what you want to see.
Mm.
Yeah. So sometimes being an Ayurvedic physician, I would like to see that only Ayurveda should exist.
Yep. Yep.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's important to know that life have different aspects, and in every different aspect, I think different philosophies, different theories can be useful.
Mm-hmm.
You know? For example, like not only about Ayurveda and allopathic medicine, even about like just Western culture, Indian culture, you know, or in economics, you talk about communism, capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All these theories exist.
Yes.
So, can you see one theory applies to every aspect of life?
The I, the self, the conscious, the awareness, the thing that's linking everything together.
Yeah, but but that's impractical.
Okay. Please give me the
You know,
answer.
in the practice,
I'm trying to sound
in the
intelligent, but there's no point.
no, no, it's yeah. Just want to say that in a practical world, when we talk about practical world, you know,
Yes.
then there is no one theory which is better than the other.
Okay, I hear you now. Yes.
You know, the different aspects of life needs different approaches, isn't it?
Hmm. Yes.
Sometimes communism will work, sometimes capitalism will work. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes allopathic medicine will work, sometimes Ayurvedic will work.
Okay. Yes, I hear you. Yep.
So Ayurveda definitely have a role, and we cannot deny it. Western medicine also has a role.
Yes.
Approaches are different. So, like if you see the Western medicine approach is more like a quick fix approach,
Hmm.
and it will give you symptomatic relief very quickly. Your disease might not become better means in many cases, but symptomatic relief you will have means that's what Western medicine will guarantee you. You know?
Hmm.
But on the other hand, Ayurvedic medicine doesn't work on your symptoms only. Ayurvedic medicine basically wants to bring balance to your life. So we basically work more holistically.
Hmm.
So that's why maybe symptomatic relief uh, might not be immediate. Symptomatic relief will happen only when the disease will become better.
Hmm. Okay. Yes.
So basically Ayurvedic medicine is very holistic in nature, I can say, and especially in mental health, it's very important to be holistic. Because in that there is no quick fix. Means
Mm.
even with Western medicine, if you take any anti-anxiety pill, means okay, for 10 hours your anxiety is less, but you have to take an anti-anxiety pill once again, or antidepressant medications you have to take sometimes for like too long.
Yes.
So maybe you have an exam today and you have to sit in your exam. Maybe for that anti-anxiety pill will work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to live life, then anti-anxiety pill is not a very good solution. So then you have to fix your life. And
Mm.
Ayurvedic medicine basically helps you to fix your life. It is a
Mm.
science of life.
Mm.
So it is bringing basic balance to your life.
Mm.
And that balance will come through diet. It will come from your lifestyle. It will come from some herbs that we can use. We also use yoga. Well, it's an umbrella science, so we can use many different aspects of
Yes.
medicines.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many manual treatments that we can use. But at the same time, it is really important that ultimate healing will happen when you will become aware.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that you can see the difference when you will take any anti-anxiety pill or antidepressant. Mostly they are like sedative medications.
Yes.
So they will sedate your mind. So you kind of get disconnected from your own memories. You forget your own memories for some time. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
you feel normal.
Yes.
So that chapter is closed with the medicines. But Ayurvedic medicine does not do that. Ayurvedic medicine will try to make you aware of situations. It will try to bring balance to your memories.
Mm.
It will work against sedation, because sedation is not a long-term solution. Sedation is like a short-term solution. Awareness is a long-term solution.
Mm.
To bring sattva is a long-term solution. To
Mm-hmm.
reduce tamas and rajas is a long-term solution. And when you are aware, then you will see all these problems that you had, they were actually very simple.
Mm.
You must have seen when we are in depression or when we are anxiety, the same problems, they look really big.
100%.
And
Yeah.
if you can somehow dissociate yourself from that, if you detach yourself from that situation, and when you just observe that situation from outside, you will find out that the same situation looks very simple.
Yes.
So basically, awareness is important. Through awareness, many things, many psychological disease also, they become better. Of course, in some cases there are chemical imbalances. Where are chemical imbalances? So there we have to use herbs. There are Ayurvedic medicines. There's a detox technique called as panchakarma. Means all these things help.
Mm-hmm.
There's no end to Ayurvedic knowledge when it's yeah, you can keep studying it for whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I know. It's amazing. I'm just trying to. I'm not even thinking of questions anymore. I'm just receiving. Like I feel like I'm in your class again. It's so good. I love everything you share. It's so special, and especially with mental health, I think it's really needed right now. A bit of a different approach and some solutions. So yeah.
I think we should also use words very carefully, like special but not special. There's nothing
Okay.
special in it. This is everybody's ingrained knowledge. It is present inside all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that I'm talking basically is part of everybody's mind. We just have to be aware to look at it. And so Ayurveda is basically a science of common sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a knowledge that is coming from outside. It's not a knowledge that was made from outside. It's the knowledge that was discovered within and that everybody can discover.
Oh, taking it in. Yeah, it's a remembering. We're just all remembering, aren't we?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, uh, you've answered all my questions again. It just continues to. So, a simple routine. Do you have any simple routines for people out there? Just to, if someone's maybe drinking too much alcohol or things. I mean, that's pretty clear. Just got to stop, I suppose. But how would someone come out of drinking alcohol? I mean, myself, I drank a lot in my 20s, and I just slowly came out of it. how would you approach that, or how do you give any people advice on how to approach that?
Yeah, you see, um, people don't listen to advice. Like if I tell you don't do that, you means you will that will be like I'm trying to control you, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
So if I tell somebody you should not do it, means that basically is not good for that person, because then that person is getting controlled by me. So ideally, means it's important that that awareness should come from within. And that person means you realized at some point that alcohol is not good for you and you stopped it, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
So it's important that awareness can come even before that. Like to our teenagers, I think we should give that awareness. So there's a possibility many people will learn just from that. Of course, some people have to try and then they learn. But some people can learn even just from like knowledge, that can be given to them. But to young people, generally, my advice is like, see, in our life, everything cannot be wrong. It's all right. You're doing parties. Okay, you can do parties. You can drink alcohol. Then that cannot happen that your food is also bad quality. Then you're not exercising. You're not sleeping in the night, and you have a lot of stress in your life, and plus you have drugs. So if everything is wrong, then who will hold your life? You don't have any anchor in your life, and your life will fall apart very quickly. At least in the beginning, it is important to, or it is good to start at least with one habit. Like think that one anchor should be there in my life.
Yes, this is
It
great.
could be your diet. Maybe you are not sleeping properly, but your diet is very good. This applies to even many corporates also, means they don't have time.
Yep.
So they have to work in the night. But at least their diet is good quality, or their exercise is good. So if these two things are there, okay, that will hold your life. Or maybe your diet, you don't have good control. You always eat outside, but you sleep properly. You don't have stress in your life, and you do good exercise. So that can hold. So I think try to fix at least one or two things that you can actually fix yourself and that are easy. And then you will see that slowly awareness will come towards all the other things also that you want to improve. But start with just one or two simple habits. It could be maybe I will do a morning walk in the morning. So morning walk, if somebody is doing that, is already a good habit. Or if I'll take like good 8 hours sleep in the night. Or I will remain in this awareness that I am everything. And then there is no stress. Then whatever you do, when you then with that awareness, whatever you do, nothing affects you.
Yeah, I think it's a
But
bit more
that awareness
complicated
should
to
be
get
there.
to that.
Yeah. So something should be there. Yeah.
Yes. Oh wow, that's so good, Dr. Sharma. That's really helpful. I can even feel that in my own life that just tackling different areas. Once you get them under control, then it's a lot easier to tackle the harder things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else do we have? Oh, I can go. So, how long do you have?
Um, I have like around 20, 25 minutes I have still. Yeah. That's,
Okay.
no worries. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go into Sankhya philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a
So
little bit of a debrief of what that is?
yeah, Sankhya philosophy is a very interesting philosophy. It means it is given by sage Kapila. So Kapila has given Sankhya philosophy, and he talks about theory of creation.
Okay. Yes.
And means there are around 9 Indian philosophies that we study. And out of 9 Indian philosophies, 6 are Vedic philosophies, 3 are non-Vedic philosophies. And in those 6 philosophies, it starts as like Nyaya, Visheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. These are the 6 Vedic philosophies. Non-Vedic philosophies are your Jainism, Buddhism, Charvak. So Sankhya is one of the Vedic philosophy. And Sankhya is a philosophy which is talking about creation. So before Sankhya, many people were saying that creation is done by God, you know, or creation is done by some supreme power or something like that. So Sankhya basically is an atheist philosophy. It does not believe in the idea of God. It's a very scientific philosophy. So Sankhya basically said that no, creation is not happening from some God, etc. If we just use our common sense, and if we go to the root of this creation, then if we look at this universe, this world, if we try to break it down, then ultimately what will happen? We reach to a stage where there is only some kind of primordial matter and some energy.
Mm-hmm.
So Sankhya said basically this whole universe is a group of some matter and energy. So ultimate existence is matter and energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yep.
So this matter and energy sometimes combine with each other. So this combination of this matter and energy, it is bringing universal intelligence like laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And when the laws of nature are coming, then things are joining with each other. They're trying to join, like positive will fell apart, or positive negative will join. Like these kind of laws of nature will come up. And when things are getting joined with each other, so that is a rise of ego or identity, because similar kind of things are joining with each other. You know?
Okay.
So
Yes.
some objects are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So then there will be rise of ego or ahankara. So as I already told you, ahankara is important for life. Ahankara basically means union or identity.
Mm-hmm.
So this ahankara, then of course, through the process of evolution, then different objects, they evolute into different beings. You know, it could be material or like living beings or non-living beings. That can
Mm-hmm.
happen. So
Mm-hmm.
over a period of time, it will happen, and that's how creation happened. So basically, two, 3 points are very important in Sankhya philosophy. That initially, that existence basically is twofold. It is matter and energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important point in Sankhya. Second, that ahankara or ego is important for creation. And
Yep.
third is evolution. So evolution is not original Darwin's theory. Evolution theory basically was given by Sankhya philosophy initially,
Okay.
you know, which talked about like through the process of evolution, it will happen that some living beings and non-living beings will develop.
Okay.
And so it's a very complex philosophy. I think in short time we cannot, but an overall idea I gave you that how basically it
That's
works.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And so then Sankhya philosophy talks about that what is the cause of suffering. Now the cause of suffering is misidentity. So if we see a human being have all these things. Human being have this matter. Human being have energy. Human being have ego. Human
Mm-hmm.
being have mind.
Mm-hmm.
And one other important aspect, mind according to Sankhya is also material in nature. That
Okay.
is also very important. You know,
Mm-hmm.
mind is also material in nature. So there is mind, there is buddhi, ahankara. There is this evolution happening. We have sensory organs. You know, we are developing.
Mm-hmm.
So this human being is such a complex system. Now, when we talk about me or myself, then who is this myself? So some people will say this body is me, but this body is an accumulation of many different sensory organs, different 5 elements. We discussed that in Ayurvedic medicine.
Yep.
And this body is very impermanent. So
Mm-hmm.
when at some point the body will die, or body actually keeps changing. And last year it was different, now it is different.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about ego, our ego also change a lot. Your identities keep on changing. Your preferences keep on changing. So everything basically is changing in us, except one thing, and that is that Purusha or energy.
Mm.
Energy is constant. Energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. Even Western medicine is saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So that energy basically is the constant principle. So according to Sankhya, it's very important to understand that we all are that energy. And once this is very clear to you that I am that energy, I am that existence, only then you can get absolute freedom.
Mm.
Otherwise, you will always keep fighting with one freedom or the other freedom. You know, so absolute freedom is possible only through absolute knowledge.
Mm.
So that, in a nutshell, is Sankhya philosophy.
Wow, that's exactly what I wanted. Like, oh, I just keep getting gobsmacked because I'm just sitting here like a student, just receiving, and I can't think of any extra questions because there's just so much amazing knowledge coming through. I'd love to just help you just keep sharing, please. What else would you like to share?
No, we all are students. We all are students, and we keep learning constantly. And I think it's very important to keep your student alive. You know, that is really important.
Yes.
And until unless the student is alive, well, that's one of the methods to keep your ahankara in check. Otherwise, if you become a teacher, then that becomes a problem for you. A teacher is also a student,
Mm.
you know. So who receives something and he can share, you know. And if you're not a student, then you can't receive anymore.
Mm.
And if you can't receive anymore, then your sharing will also become narrow.
Yes.
So
It's a big trap for the identity.
yeah. And I think one other thing, we are just jumping from one topic to other, but
It's
all
okay.
these things are connected.
Yes.
Um, Everything in your life is basically your own making. That is the conclusion of this Vedic culture. If you will study everything, like all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, Puranas, Ayurvedic medicine, yoga, the basic sense of this culture is that everything is your own making. Now, imagine how much freedom it gives you.
Mm.
Because most of us, we think that whatever is happening in our life is controlled by something else. It could be a supernatural power. You know, it could be my past life.
Mm.
It could be my um, partner or my wife or my family members. You know, we are giving our freedom away. You know, that's why we are not free.
Mm.
Many people have given their freedom to idea of God. Many people have given their freedom to their partners.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
means partners means like any family member or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Or authority, would you say?
Yeah, or authority. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So basically, if we don't understand that life is our own making, we will keep giving our freedom. Like when you blame somebody, when I'm saying that you keep giving your freedom away, means basically you give your freedom when you start blaming others. Like so many people are blaming their family members, like the parents or wives or husbands, that okay, my life is hell because of you, or my life has a problem because of you.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you are giving your freedom away. It means that you are acknowledging that your life is not your own making.
Mm.
Your life is your wife's making or your husband's making.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody is blaming God. You know, so this blame is the most important thing to get rid of.
Really good. Mm.
Otherwise, if you keep giving your freedom away, you cannot be free. You
This is
have
true.
to keep respecting your freedom. And how can you respect? You have to acknowledge that your life is your own making. That's why in this culture, the idea of God is not very important.
Okay.
There are many misconceptions about that. Many people think that we have like 33 million gods and goddesses, and uh, actually, this culture started with, like in Nyaya philosophy, we started with that there is God somewhere up,
Mm-hmm.
and then we reached to a conclusion around 2,500 years back. Actually, there was no other God; it was me.
Mm.
Hmm?
Is that Buddha that brought that in?
It was Shankara
Okay.
and Buddha also to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that life basically is your own making. Yeah? Means I am God doesn't mean that only I am God. I am God means like this whole creation, this whole existence basically is divine. We all are part of it. and everybody is responsible for his or own life and his life is his own making.
Mm-hmm.
As much responsibility you will take, as much freedom you will experience, as much you will work for your life. Imagine if everybody stops blaming each other. Just this one change within one family. I'm not talking about the whole universe. I think family is the most important unit. That's where we should work. Within a family, if you just stop blaming each other for each other's suffering, for each other's problems, I think 90% of the things or problems will be solved.
Wow. I like the idea of that. That's beautiful.
That can be, I think this should be, this awareness, I think we should try to spread it. Like within a family, if you want to create one change, then stop blaming each other.
Beautiful. So good. I think, yeah, it's a really big take home for sure. Really big take home. So what are you offering online, Dr. Sharma? I'm sure a lot of people listening to this would love to go a bit deeper into all these different aspects, as do I. I feel like doing one of your courses again. It's so refreshing. I'd love to know what you're offering.
Means we're offering online courses basically, and there are online consultations I do, and means after COVID actually it all started. Means I was not a very online person before. Everything was
Yeah.
happening offline,
Yeah.
in person. But yeah, in this pandemic situation when things were closed, so yeah, we adapted to new technologies, and so now we are offering online course. And so there is Ayurveda therapist level 1 course, and new one is coming soon, actually, in few weeks. And consultations that we're offering. So yeah, these are the few things that
It's
we can.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend it. Wow, it's so good. Oh, I'm just in awe, Dr. Sharma. It's all so good. Thank you so much for sharing today. I feel
Welcome.
like I could talk to you for hours. Well, just receive the knowledge that you're sharing, and you're so humble. Yeah, thank you so much. We should probably. I think I'll leave it there today. Is that okay, or do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that's yeah, that's all. Means yeah, that's enough.
It's
I think.
enough. It's a lot to take in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if people those who haven't studied like philosophies, maybe I mean, I try to be simple in my words, but yeah, so yeah, better not to confuse more.
Yes, I hear you. Yeah, that's all good. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. I think we'll leave it there. Um,
Welcome, David. Yeah, take care, and
yes,
please be free and keep sharing your yeah, this freedom
podcast.
experiment with
I
yeah,
will.
podcast, like with
Yes.
people, and yeah, I wish you like all the good luck.
Uh, Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Take care. Namaste. Yeah.
Namaste. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Goodbye.
Wow, that was Dr. Sharma. You can see why I loved being in his presence today, as well as when I was in India in Dharamsala. I spent 2 or 3 weeks in a course, and then I spent about 6 weeks doing a detox, like a panchakarma, a detox. So yeah, I love that man, and he's got so much to offer. So we'll probably do a few more of these. So thank you for listening. If you want to find me, you can find me on the Freedom Experiment with Smitty on Facebook. And my Instagram is Smitty_the Freedom Experiment. And my website's getting created at the moment. It's smitty.com.au. So yeah, there's plenty more videos on there. And you can find my podcast on iTunes, Spotify, I think Google Podcasts. I think that's what it's called, but that's all the Freedom Experiment with Smitty as well. So yeah, give us a like, give us a follow, YouTube channel as well. That's the Freedom Experiment with Smitty on YouTube, all under the one title, thankfully. So yeah, give us a like, give us a follow, chuck a comment on, give some support if you liked it. If you have any questions, me and Dr. Sharma will probably do a live or something, or another one where we'll answer questions. So if any questions came up through this, you can post your questions on the comments below wherever you see this, whether it be on the YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, or on the, I'm not sure if you can put comments on the podcast channel, but find me on Facebook and write a question on there about Ayurveda or yoga or philosophy, or whatever questions came out of this talk. Chuck them on there, and we'll let Dr. Sharma run with it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening today. And yeah, I'm feeling great about it. So I hope you enjoyed. Bye.